The family, this might be your homeboy. This is what I'm banging with my boy. You know what I mean?
Right.
It don't always have to be taken in a negative way. He made something like that positive. That man is powerful. That man is great. That man ain't never going nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I say, when my name being Compton AV, I took on a hard role on purpose. When it's all said and done, I want you to know I really put this in a alone as well. This is the one I look up to. This is my manager, is Qluso. The only person, him and my mother, the only person can get me to listen to anything. Other than that, I got my own way.
This is true.
Yeah, I got my own way how I view life already. And sometimes I don't call his phone. Sometimes I got to be a man on my own and choose.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I chose this. And he might say, hey, this is what's going to come with it, but I got you. And he always tell me he got me.
Well, Qluso, you've been in this business for a long time. And you've seen the highlights, you've seen the lowlights, and you really truly have seen in this place and time, even though we're sitting here and we're talking about this life of Nipsey, I could see the parallels with Tupac and all that, when they compared it with Biggie's death and all these different things. But do you feel like this is actually finally the time where people are actually going to wake up?
The thing that I believe is that we're in the business of the way we are in these days and time, where you can show us better than you can tell us, because a lot of people aren't reading. They taking manuscripts out of the system. They trying to make books audio, so it's like we're into a real visual age. Borderline AI rather,
right.
AI. My thing that I think is really the most important thing that people should take away from this is that besides the music and besides the man, because Nipsey was a great individual, but you have to look at the work ethics, and you have to look at what was substantial about what was he doing as an individual that other people haven't been doing. And that my main thing is he's reading. He's reading, he's studying his history, he studies the history about himself, he studies the history about others, and then he reciprocates it in a way that it's his breakdown of what he understands or what he read. So it's like just like in school when you have an essay, you're doing an essay about something, but they want your point of view of how you feel about the article that you've read. The problem is that we have a society that wants to speak on what everybody else's perception is of what things are, and they're not speaking about what their perception is. And the only way that we're going to grow is that people have to introduce their understanding of what they've read and what they understand, because that's going to really let people know. One, they'll let you know if you understand the material or what you read. Two, your point of view may spark somebody else to be like, hey, you know what, I feel just like that. But if you keep on saying, well, so-and-so said, and you keep quoting what somebody else said, and you keep making your music behind what somebody else did, and you keep rapping the same way somebody else did, how are we going to grow?
Right.
We will never grow. And that's what Nipsey was. He was a person that was able to reciprocate what he learned and give it to you in the way that he understands. So it's like, if you use it in math terms, it was like having a hypothesis, and you use the hypothesis to formulate your opinion. And that's what people aren't doing. And that's what I really, that if anybody takes anything from what's, with his legacy, please understand that you need to intake material and put out material, and make yourself substantial, so when it goes through you, it touches you, and a little bit of you comes out of that material. And that's what everybody has to do. They got to really push and get strive to get individualism back in the world, and show who you are, and then we gotta read. Even if we don't have books, we gotta read. You gotta get material. You gotta know knowledge of self. You gotta pick up different types of Bibles.
Well, especially in this day and age.
Right.
It's a bunch of ways that you can get it. Like I said, just to touch on what you're saying, you might not want to read a book. I know a lot of people that don't want to read a book, but you'll listen to Nipsey Hussle.
Right.
You'll listen to Compton AV. You'll listen to YG because we're talking it in terms that you can understand. It's going on every day. You just might choose that person you attached to, and a lot of people chose Nipsey. He made it cool to learn and be smart and for unity to be together and all of that. I watched him do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so that's why I say it in different terms. It's today's time. Audio, video, showing what you're doing right now. Kev, you teaching a lot of people. People looking at my Instagram live, we learning. Mm-hmm. I advise everybody, don't be afraid to go pick up them books. How you think it make up an artist like myself? Right. How you think it made up a Nipsey? Mm-hmm. It is cool. Go pick up them books and read, because you willing to listen to us, and you willing to listen to Tupac when he was alive. You willing to listen to all these artists that picked up books and told you books is the key in the way. Go learn everything. Learn where you come from. Learn you. Learn your mother. Learn your great grandparents. Learn everything that got to do with you, because you're gonna have babies.
And that's the keys. That's the keys to life. That's the keys to life.
And that's his legacy.
Yeah.
That's what he was basically trying to give you, was the blueprint to find yourself. Mm-hmm. And he was the living blueprint of finding yourself. You're watching it like a movie being portrayed through Nipsey. He's showing you a living blueprint. Where's your living blueprint?
Right.
What's going to be your legacy when you leave from here? That's a lot of things. When I think of, it's like, it's not about what I'm doing on the way. It's like, what am I going to leave with society? When I'm said and gone, what are they going to say that Qluso did to make it better? Or what made Qluso different than everybody else? Yeah. That's my strive every day. I want to show somebody how you can be better, how you can live better, how you can do things better, how you can do better business, how you can not want to argue with your spouse, not want to fight and find more solutions. A lot of people is just exploiting the pain. The whole thing now, the ritual is to exploit the pain and exploit the process of how you got here, but nobody's exploiting the solutions.
Right. And we're gonna take a really quick break, and then we're going to actually talk about, and this is what I'm into, really deeply into spirituality and understanding, like, how people meet and how people are connected. We were all there that day. Yeah. At that same moment, and it will live with me. So we're going to get back to how this whole process, how this happened, how that this whole, he was conditioned all this way, and how do we get here, and how can we move forward as a community? So we'll be back, and we're going to have DJ El Camino. I want him to play some music for us. Take a breath, and then come back, okay? Let's do it with Cammie Johnson. We live here, and we left off where we talked about, how we all got to this place, and, actually that day, I'll just tell like a little story about that day of, where my process of how I got there to your photo shoot or your video shoot. Qlu had sent me, the text the day before about where your photo shoot was going to be, and I was like, well, I wanted to go to all three, but I knew that I had to go around and work and do what I needed to do. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go downtown. I can't stand downtown, especially busy days and having to figure out where to park. But one thing that I did was, okay, I got up there and I was starving. I hadn't eaten anything. I was like, Carl's Jr. is gonna happen today. So I went to Carl's Jr. and I sat down and I was looking at the timeline and seeing messages coming through like, are you kidding me? People playing on this timeline. And to hear, I literally took a bite of this burger that I just normally don't even eat, but I took a bite of it and I sat there and I couldn't finish another bite. There was a man to the right of me, I remember, and he mouthed to me, he said, I'm hungry. And me being who, like, every time I see a spirit or so, I don't really talk to people, just by just looking at you. I talk to people with their spirit. And I knew that he was speaking to me. I said, I'm gonna feed you. And immediately I gave him my food. And I came to the video shoot, and the news came through, and I'm like trying to figure out if there's any other news, and as people were updating me on the phone and through text messages, and then when it happened, Qluso immediately arrived the moment that I found out, and he said he was gone. And I have gone through a considerable amount of loss in the last few years that I haven't been able to mourn. I've held it. I haven't been able to have that moment of release since all these things have happened. And when Qluso came in, it was like he came in as not only my brother, but my father, and he held me, and I broke down. And I looked immediately to you, AV. I looked to you, and your face was so still. And so, like, I can't take another painful moment. And because I look to you, because I'm so protective. Like, please don't break down, because it's going, I can't take it. And all I know is I prayed over you at that moment.
Thank you.
I prayed over you. I prayed over OT. I prayed over all the young men, all the young women that are believing in their craft for this. The ones that are not here for popularity, but for the ones that are trying to move a nation.
Yeah.
And so, at that very moment, I looked. Kevin had on this 32 Lakers jersey, and I thought of the same photo that Nipsey wore. And I'm like, who is this kid? Wait a minute, he got a long beard. I didn't even recognize you at first. And I said at that moment, this was ordained for us to all be here at this moment, to be of support. Kevin, you made us actually laugh afterwards. You broke the spirit, because it was quiet. I have never seen video chicks and video models quiet before. But how was it that day when you heard, really truly, when you heard the news about this happening? How did you feel? Because I know I was broken and done at the same time. How does it really feel for you at that moment?
Me and OT kind of knew a little bit before everybody else, because somebody that be with OT was actually with Nip at the time.
Right.
And right in the middle of the shoot, he leaned in my ear and told me. But he had just told me he just got hit. He just told me Nip got shot. That's it. It was like, he just got shot. So it's kind of like, okay, rappers get shot, he gonna be all right, he finna turn up. Because that's the way it was said to me. And then about 30 minutes later, he was like, oh, like they said he gone, bro. And I was just like, huh? I expected, I'm on my shoot. I'm in the biggest video shoot in my life right now. Me and OT trying to do something for the West Coast,
Yeah.
And he's the leader. He can't be gone. So it was kind of like, I just didn't want to believe it. You know what I mean? I was able to get by the rest of the day because I just didn't believe it. Me and, behind the scenes, Qluso would tell you, like, I was mad at him.
Yeah.
Because
tell the truth,
I was real mad at my manager. I said, stop saying that. Like, stop telling me that. Like, until we know outside of Instagram what people posting, because they'll do that. You know what I mean? You know that, man. Qluso used to be in your backyard. You know GI. We can call GI. I can call GI right now. See, I can call Pac. I can call Stone. I can call them and see.
Right.
So until I do that, stop saying that man is gone. I didn't want to hear it. Me and Qluso got into it a couple times. For like a whole hour, we kept getting into it that whole hour. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to hear that.
Yeah.
And then for me, I understand where he was coming from, and what people have to understand is that there's levels of mourning, and there's levels of acceptance, and you can become 12 years old even if you're 50.
Yeah.
You can go back to a baby, because it's just the time in your life and the way something impacts you can just touch your childhood spirit. And that's what I think I felt when I talked to AV. It was like leave me alone, stop. Because he had a mission to do, and he at that time I want to really I really respected him because he was being more mature than I was.
Right.
And that lets me know that you can teach somebody a lot of things, but then it reciprocates. Like I've taught AV a lot of things, but he teaches me a lot of things, and that's what we got to understand with Nip. It's like it's not that it's beyond the ages on how things affect you, but you want them to affect you to where it's a positive thing, to where it gives you growth. Like pain is growth. A lot of people, you hear that a lot. I know I heard Dame Dash say that, your best losses is your growth. And I think that's because it's the way that you pick yourself up, or the way that you move forward from situations, that really is the best teacher. Because there's all different types of religion, there's all different types of gods, but the way that you manifest how you want to move once something bothers you, or once something breaks you down to your foundation, and then you got to rebuild. Whatever it is, whether it's Islam, whether it's Jehovah's Witness, whether it's Christianity, whatever it is that needs to build you, no one can tell you that it's not your way, because your path, you could be built from something that doesn't make any sense. You could be built from nature. One time nature actually rebuilt me, because I shut down and I actually got quiet, and I looked around and I actually saw birds and the sky, and I realized that, wow, it's not about bills, it's not about when I get my next paycheck, it's about the animals and nature is moving.
It's the vibration of the earth.
It's still moving, and it's like, it's a beautiful thing. There's still beautiful things that people don't pay attention to. That while everybody out here hustling and bustling, there's look up at a cloud, look at a bird, look at nature, and embrace it for what it is. There's beautiful things that'll bring you out of your negative mind state.
Yeah.
And what it was that when that happened, it just, for me, it was, I get chills on my body, like I don't know if a lot of people get that, but I get chills to the point where I'll be like, ooh, like I'll get cold, but I feel like that, and my breakdown of it is that I'm feeling the energy of his spirit moving by, like passing by, giving me, the final goodbye, or like the final acknowledgement, like, hey, I made it, I got my wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was just like, he too strong for that. And he just don't expect nobody to do it. That's why I kept telling my manager, don't tell me that. Because if they'd do that to him, they'd do that to me.
Right.
So I just don't want to hear it. And it's like, I'm around people all day, every day. And I let them close to me. So it's like,
It's okay, man. It's all right.
we don't want to cut people off. But if they do this to us,
Right.
that's when they say we go Hollywood.
Yep.
I'm not Hollywood. I gotta protect myself and my family.
You're still AV. You always gonna be AV.
So I just didn't want to hear about it. So I apologize if I was aggressive to you, but I just didn't want to hear that. That's too much. Jealousy. Person that jealous. That's all I'm faced with every day on my whole Instagram is, you ain't from there, you ain't about it, you ain't gonna do this, you ain't gonna do that.
Yeah.
They hurt you bad for that type of shit.
You're right.
So it's like, I just don't want to hear that pop.
Yeah. I got you.
I'm gonna take a beat. But Kevin, we had talked outside of the video shoot downtown, and one thing that resonated with me when you spoke, you're like, I didn't really feel the impact of, Tupac.
Yeah.
But Nipsey, that I feel this.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I think I was probably too young. I don't. Does anybody know the year that Tupac passed?
96.
96. All right, so I was probably 13, maybe 14 at that point. I would have just moved down to the Bay Area from Northwest, and so like I had not been through any real life circumstances. Like that was the point where my parents were divorcing, but like Tupac's music did not get me through that divorce. Like my brother got me through it, basketball got me through it, whereas Nipsey's music had got me through the biggest challenges of my career. And so having his music be the soundtrack to those struggles, you grow this fondness to not only the music but the person as well. And so that's why when you lose someone like this, especially in the way that he was taken away, it resonates with you and it hurts you more, it impacts you more. The day that we all found out, like we were going from one video shoot location to the other. AV and I had just wrapped up this really funny like news reporter mock live scene where we're acting a fool, and he's like, all right, let's go to the next shoot. And on my way to the car, I had a missed call from my buddy Nick Hamilton, who doesn't normally call. So I was like, all right, I wonder what he wanted. And then before I could even get in the car, my friend Jasmine called. And she was like, hey, have you heard about Nipsey? And I was like, no, what are you talking about? And she was like, he got shot like 6 times. We don't know if he's going to be okay, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, what the fuck? So I get in the car, and of course I'm going on like my Twitter timeline and stuff. And at that point, there were no updates further than that. So we went to the shoot, the second location of the shoot, and we're all just kind of hanging out in front. And still at that point, nobody knew that he had passed. And I was like getting ready to eat some food, and I was talking to AV's buddy Curtis, and we were all just kind of just really just hanging right there. And that's when I was just kept refreshing my Twitter timeline.
Right.
And that's when I saw that he had passed, and I walked away from the group for maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, just to be by myself. And it was just like, do I even want to be here? Do I want to finish this video shoot? Do I want to go back in there? Or like, at that point, I didn't really even know what AV and I were going to do. And so honestly, I considered leaving, but I certainly didn't want to do that to AV. And I felt for him just being like, you know, you plan this stuff out, you spend this money, you coordinate these shoots, you have all the people there, and then this shit comes up and you still have to go through and finish it. And I want to commend AV for just being able to hold it together like that, to knock it out. Like, my part was easy. All I had to do was just act a fool in the jewelry store and dance around a little bit. Like, he had to really coordinate this whole thing and make sure everyone was on the same page. Yeah, make it happen.
Making it work.
And something I just want to finish up with what you touched on earlier, Cami, about the role that AV can play moving forward in this. Like, you know, you're who you are, so you're not going to know this about you. Maybe some people have told you, but like, you and Nip have a similar humility about you, the way that you carry yourself. You're approachable, and I know that you're going to have to figure out what's comfortable and what's not comfortable moving forward for you with allowing people in your space. But if you can, try not to let what happened change who you are truly at your core, because you have a humility about you that is refreshing, especially in this space and especially in these times where, like, even if you're not a rapper, you can be conceited because of the attention that you get from these phones and shit. So like, if you can try your best to keep that part about you, it was what made me want to do more stuff with you, because there's people that have reached out and been like, hey, can you do my song, whatever, or hey, can you come to my show? And there's times when I'll do it, but you know, I think I did the one car song, and then went to your show, and then did the video shoot. Like, I haven't done that with everybody, and part of that is because of who you are at your core, not just in music. You know what I mean? It's the way that you are around people. I think that's something that I try to be mindful of, is like, not just looking at you as a rapper, you have this many followers. It's like, all right, well, who is this person, and what's he about, and what are the people around him about? Because you know, a lot of times you can tell a lot about a person by who's around them too, and the vibes, the energy that they get off too. So I want to commend you for that first and foremost, and the fact that you're able to finish that video shoot says a lot about your character, who you are, and what you represent.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And so, you know, I want to really talk about in more detail about how do we move forward. And we were going to take a really quick break again, take a beat, take a breather, my brother. And we'll be back. This is Live in the Stew with Cammie Johnson.